This episode is all about what to expect after you successfully sell your business in the Canadian market.
Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This is a special series all about selling your business in the Canadian market. Joining me for this series is our guest expert, Jim Nairn. He's a business broker with Sunbelt Business Brokers. Jim, welcome to the program.
Hi, Mark. Thank you for having me.
So, Jim, after selling your business successfully in the Canadian market, you're not just handing them the keys and saying goodbye. There are some expectations. Tell us the importance of like the post-sale expectations.
Indeed. So just you hit the nail right on the head there, Mark. So quite often some business owners think that that's it. They sell, they sign the papers, the next day they're gone. They can travel the world, do whatever they want to do. Quite often that is not the case. I've actually had that once, I think, where a business owner sold their business. A friend of mine actually bought it, and then 2 weeks later, he hopped in his plane and literally started flying around the world, and he was really never heard from again, if you will. But every other instance of all the other businesses that we've sold, there's been a lot longer of a relationship, a handover period, shall we say. So, yeah, quite often you can expect to hang around for a varying period of time after the business has sold.
Tell us about what is like that biggest role or the biggest, post-sale challenge or the thing that you have to really stick around for. Tell us what that looks like.
Yeah, so quite often that can be the handover period where you are, especially if you've been really active in the business, if the owner has been kind of the go-to guy for making deals happen, for making sales, or just doing public-facing announcements, all that kind of stuff, or they're the main person on the shop floor or the retail store floor, whatever the scenario is. We need to allow for a decent transition time period where the new owner and the previous owner can be seen sort of side by side. You get a literal sort of handoff introduction. Say, okay, this is the new person that's you're going to be dealing with from now on. I've got full of my utmost confidence and all that kind of stuff. And for the first couple meetings, you may just have to be there, like literally for everyone or the vast majority of the handovers, to say, hey, you know what? Now you start weaning yourself off after once the new person's got the reins, and then you can then start phasing yourself out more at that point.
Is that like one of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to selling your business? Do people always feel like they could just kind of take off, or what are some other big myths or misconceptions around after the sale?
Yeah, so quite often there can be a few others. Like I say, that is a big one. Sometimes they think they can just literally they get the money and then they can go and do whatever they want with it right away the very next day. But the amount of time that someone would need to be available totally varies, right? So if you're selling to say to a competitor, or you're selling to someone that has industry experience or the like, chances are you're not going to need to be around for like 6 months, a year or more. Likely it's just only going to be long enough for them to go in and understand your whatever systems you're using that are particular to your company, how you structure things. Then once they've got that down pat, then you can start doing whatever it is you want to do after closing. But if it's someone that's relatively new to the industry, that's coming in with, say, a little bit of experience, you can expect to stay on. We've had people do contracts for up to 2 years because, sometimes that's more where you have like government licensing that takes a long time to transfer over, that you have to still be a part of the business and whatnot while they're operating under your license, so that until theirs gets approved, then you can fully take yourself off of the books and under the operations. But usually within those circumstances, you're not really working in the business. You're just there kind of on paper, shall we say, still responsible. You still need to know what's going on, technically speaking, but you don't have to be involved in the day-to-day operations until, until that period happens.
That transition period for the seller, is that something that makes the advertising of the business for sale more attractive? Is it something that comes from that, like the promises they make in the transition, or does it often come from the buyer like wanting it?
A little bit of both. Quite often, if the owner, um, for whatever reason, they can't offer a whole lot of training and transition support. Sometimes they have serious health concerns where they literally just can't be there, or they've passed away. Obviously, that's another circumstance where they just can't offer the help. So when that support is available, it does make the business more attractive to prospective buyers. Some buyers are okay to take on what we would refer to those as more being slightly more distressed, where the owner isn't there, especially if they were an owner operator. There are people out there that look for those kinds of opportunities, but yeah, the majority of people prefer the ones where the support can be provided.
What would help the seller make this go smoother? Is it all about, uh, creating the operations manuals, or what kind of tips do you give sellers to make sure that the transition goes smoothly?
Indeed. So as much as the those types of manuals can be put in place to help minimize any misgivings from a new owner, if they're coming in, say if you've got like 10 to 20 different staff that do all kinds of different roles in the business, sometimes they could technically do more than their own specific role. They help out in other roles along the way. If that sort of thing is documented to say this is generally what person X or this position typically does, then once the person has sold the business and they're not around anymore, the new owner now has that to fall back on when the staff try and say, I've never done that before. That's not part of my job, and they start trying to make up a fuss. So the new owner can take a look at the manual and say, well, according to this, you actually have done this for the last umpteen years, and this is what you're supposed to do. So what's going on? Why are you giving me grief here with this? So the more supporting documents you can have for that, for all the different, whether it's a sales process, the tradespeople, the different people on the manufacturing floor, depending again on the nature of the business, the more supporting documentation you can provide, the better prepared the new owner is going to be, and the happier they'll be knowing that support is already there and documented.
As a business broker, are you part of any of this post sale, transition period, or for expectations, or what's your role in the post sale?
So our role generally becomes a little more minimal once the sale has been completed. We're still around and available if there is a need for us to try and communicate between the parties, because sometimes there can be misunderstandings happening, or this person isn't living up to their end of the contract, whatever the case may be. We can often get called in versus before trying to bring the lawyers in or anything like that to help mitigate those circumstances. If there was other particular questions, we can always refer back to any of the documentation we've collected along the way to see, here's if they ended up missing or losing some of the ownership papers or manuals for different things or insurance policies, whatever the situation is, we can always again go back in and find that and reshare those particular kinds of documents. But yeah, quite often we're not anywhere near as involved post closing as we are leading up to and negotiating the actual transaction.
In regards to the post sale expectations, any final words of wisdom that you want to share with potential sellers out there?
So I always recommend that it's treating each other as if you were in a full blown relationship, almost like either a family or as if you were dating each other, because you're kind of you're both of your best interests are for the business to succeed with the new owner. So the seller needs to be able to understand that they need to now start giving up some of their air quotes here secret sauce on how they ran the business, how they managed the employees, how they managed this particular, say, ornery supplier or customers, whatever the case may be. If they've had little tricks of the trade that they were able to use, they need to be able to share that knowledge and experience with the new owner to help them to set them up for the best success. Because if they're going to be struggling, chances are then it could impact their ability to repay any seller financing that was involved as well. So if the seller has held any of the purchase price as a loan on out to the new buyer, it's in their best interest to make sure that the buyer is set up for the best success and be able to grow the business and be able to repay all the debt that they still owe for taking it on. So definitely, keep that relationship strong. Don't keep secrets. Don't play games. Just be totally forthright, and don't let them. Oh, it's their problem now. Let them figure it out. Well, no, it's still partly your problem too. So, yeah, they need to learn. They're going to need to cut their teeth, if you will, on the business and make a couple of mistakes. But you need to help set them up on the right foot.
Sage advice for business owners in the Canadian market who are considering selling their business and would love to meet with you. How could they find you and connect?
Yeah, certainly. So they can find me through our website, sunbeltcanada.com. I'm also on LinkedIn and, of course, the International Business Brokers Association and the M&A Source. And a few others. Just search my name in Google there, Jim Nairn, and I'm sure you'll see a whole whack of different available options to contact me.
Jim, this has been terrific. Thank you again for sharing with my audience, and I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate that, and I hope you have an amazing rest of the day.
That was Jim Nairn, expert business broker with Sunbelt Business Brokers in Canada. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining us. See you on the next episode.